Hello, Immigration Nation. Today, I will walk you through the updates to the January 2024 Visa Bulletin. If you're puzzled about understanding the Visa Bulletin, check out my dedicated video breaking it down for you. Today, we'll explore the changes in the January 2024 updates and what they mean for you. Let's dive in. USCIS and the State Department are kicking off a new fiscal year. What does that mean? Well, this year, they decided to change things up. Instead of dealing with visa numbers month by month, they're doing it in quarters. That means there are new dates available for you to get a visa. You can review this information by searching in your favorite browser for Visa Bulletin and clicking on this option. Now let's analyze the updates from December 2023 to January 2024. Starting with Table A for family-based information. To my friends from India, I've got some good news coming your way, but we'll dive into that a bit later. Stay tuned. For F, 1 remains the same time for all categories. Moving on to F2A, there's good news as it saw an advancement of 9 months for all chargeability areas, except for Mexico, where the progress is 8 months. Shifting to F2B, there's a 1-month improvement for the first category, but Mexico experienced a significant leap of more than a year. Meanwhile, the Philippines situation remains consistent. Now let's talk about F3, which witnessed a 3-month improvement for all chargeability areas, 6 months of progress for Mexico, and no change for the Philippines. As for F4, there's an advancement of 1 month for all chargeability areas, except for Mexico and the Philippines. Mexico remains unchanged while the Philippines shows progress with a 2-month advance. Moving on to the next chart, covering the dates for filing family-sponsored visa applications. By looking at the data in this table, it's clear that the status remains the same for all categories from December 2023 to January 2024. Now let's keep digging into our analysis in the next sections. Now I will give you an overview of the processing wait times, and you can find all this information on the USCIS website. Let's start with Form Y-130, and let's look at the estimated processing times for various categories and offices available for this process. For permanent resident filing for a spouse or child under 21, you will find a processing time of 70.5 months for all offices. In the category of U.S. citizen, for a spouse, parent, or child under 21, all field offices have a waiting time of 42 months, while at all service centers, the time is 14 months. For U.S. citizen, filing for unmarried son, daughter, 21 or older. Remember, these locations are where you filed your application. Your receipt notice will show you if you don't remember. California, 79 months. Nebraska, 24.5 months. Potomac, 45.5 months. Texas, 42 months. Vermont, 47.5 months. And all field offices, 75.5 months. In the category of permanent resident for unmarried son or daughter, 21 or older, in California, 72 months. Nebraska, 42.5 months. Potomac, 41 months. Texas, 48.5 months. Vermont, 50 months. All field offices, 81.5 months. Regarding the category of U.S. citizen filing for a married son or daughter, California, 85 months. Nebraska, 46.5 months. Potomac, 46 months. Texas, 46 months. Vermont, 46 months. All field offices, 48 months. For a U.S. citizen filing for a brother or sister, California, 46.5 months. National Benefits Center, 68 months. Nebraska, 22.5 months. Potomac, 42.5 months. Texas, 43.5 months. Vermont, 93.5 months. All field offices, 70 months. Now let's look at the categories for Form 1-601 and I-601A I-601, Waiver of Grounds of Inadmissibility, Nebraska, 22 months. All field offices, 22 months. I-601, a provisional waiver of unlawful presence in all service centers, 44 months. In the case of Form I-212, permission to reapply for admission after deportation and removal, in Nebraska, the time is 22 months. For all field offices, 24 months. Moving on to the next form, I-612. For the application for a waiver of the 2-year foreign residence requirement based on exceptional hardship or persecution, California, 14.5 months. Form I-131 Reentry Permit or Refugee Travel Document, Nebraska, 17.5 months. Advanced Parole, California, 12.5 months. National Benefits Center, 9 months. Nebraska, 5.5 months. Texas, 17.5 months. Vermont, 9 months. Form I-918, All Service Center, 63 months. For Form I-485, Adjustment of Status Applications. In this case, I will show you the waiting time in New Jersey, since that's where our law firm is located. Mount Laurel, New Jersey, 21 months. For family-based adjustments, Mount Laurel, New Jersey, 14 months. Newark, 17.5 months. Based on grant of asylum more than 1 year ago, all field offices, 32 months. Based on refugee admission more than 1 year ago, all field offices, 30.5 months. Based on an approved T visa, Vermont, 33.5 months. Based on an approved U visa, Vermont, 27.5 months. Now, in the employment-based section, Table A, final action dates will show whether a date is available to you, regardless of whether you are in the US or outside. Let's analyze it. Category EB1, no waiting time for all chargeability areas except China and India. Good news for China with a 5-month advance, and excellent news for India, experiencing a significant advance of more than 3 years. Category EB2, a progress of 4 months for all chargeability areas, 3 months for China, and 2 months for India. For category EB3, there is a significant increase of 8 months in all chargeability areas, 8 months for China too. In the case of India, 1 month. Regarding other workers, we note a progress of 1 month for the rest of all chargeability areas. For China, there is a 1-year improvement. The Philippines, on the other hand, maintains its status unchanged in this category. As for EB4, a general progression of 4 months for all participants in the table. Certain religious workers, interesting developments in this category. There was a change from unauthorized status to an available date as of May 2019, EB5. In this category, there is a positive change with a 2-month advance for China. For India, an advance of 2 years, while the rest of the categories maintain the letter C, which means the current status. Let's now proceed to Table B. EB1, the status remains current for all chargeability areas with notable changes for China, showcasing a progression of 5 months. India sees a substantial advancement of a 1.5 years. EB2, a universal advance of 1 month is noted for all chargeability areas. China follows suit with a 5-month progression, while India maintains its status unchanged. EB3 maintains its current status for all chargeability areas, including India. Meanwhile, there's continued positive news for China, boasting a significant advancement of 10 months. The situation for other workers stays the same for everyone, with no significant changes. Now here's some positive news for EB4. There's a 6-month advancement for everyone. Certain religious workers also have reason to celebrate as they see a 6-month improvement. As for the remaining categories, they remain unchanged. Now I will give you the processing times corresponding to this table for the following forms. I-765, based on being an H-4 spouse of an H-1B non-immigrant. In California, 3.5 months. Nebraska, 4 months. Texas, 4.5 months. Vermont, 3.5 months. Based on being an L2 spouse of an L1 non-immigrant. In California, 10 months. Texas, 12 months. Vermont, 24 months. Based on being admitted as a refugee, Nebraska, 3.5 months. Based on an approved asylum application, Nebraska, 5.5 months. Texas, 15 months. Application for suspension of deportation, National Benefits Center, 16.5 months. Based on parole, National Benefits Center, 3.5 months. Alien with final order of deportation under a supervision order, or OSU, National Benefits Center, 4.5 months. Based on being an H-4 spouse of an H-1B non-immigrant. In California, 4.5 months. Nebraska, 5.5 months. Texas, 7 months. Vermont, 3.5 months. Based on a request by a qualified F1 academic student, Potomac, 3.5 months. Based on an approved, concurrently filed Nebraska, less than 3 months. Vermont, 128 months. Based on a pending asylum application, all service centers, 16 months. Based on a pending asylum application, C8, all service centers, 1 month. Based on a pending I-485 adjustment application, California, 5.5. National Benefits Center, 8 months. Nebraska, 3.5 months. Texas, 11 months. Vermont, 10 months. Based on TPS for El Salvador, Texas, 10.5 months. Vermont, 3 months. Haiti extension, California, 8 months. All other applications for employment authorization, California, 15.5 months. National Benefit Center, 10.5 months. Nebraska, 11 months. Potomac, 13.5 months. Texas, 3.5 months. Vermont, 8 months. For Form I-526, in the category of China, mainland-born, for use by an investor who wishes to immigrate to the United States. If you apply at the Immigrant Investor Program Office, the processing time will be 85.5 months. For all other areas, for use by an investor who wishes to immigrate to the United States, all Immigrant Investor Program Office, it would take 55.5 months. Form I-829, Immigrant Investor Program Office, the time is 68.5 months. For Form I-131, for re-entry permit or refugee travel document, Nebraska, 17.5 months. For advanced parole, California, 12.5 months. National Benefit Center, 9 months. Nebraska, 5.5 months. Texas, 17.5 months. Vermont, 9 months. For Form I-360 in the section for all other special immigrants, like special immigrant juvenile petitions, California, 1.5 months. Nebraska, 12.5 months. Vermont, 30 months. For VAWA, in all service centers, the time is 36.6 months. As for religious workers, in California, the time is 6.5 months. For Afghan or Iraqi translators and Afghans or Iraqi who worked for on or behalf of the U.S. government, your only available option is Nebraska with a 4.5-month wait. Finally, for Form I-140, in the category of Extraordinary Ability, E11, your available centers are Nebraska with 19.5 months and Texas with 23 months. For Outstanding Professor or Researcher, E12, Nebraska 6 months and Texas 8.5 months. Multinational Executive or Manager, E13, Nebraska 8 months and Texas 10.5 months. In the category of Advanced Degree or Exceptional Ability, E21, Nebraska 4 months and Texas 7.5 months. If your case is Skilled Worker or Professional, E31, E32, you will find a time in Nebraska of 5 months and Texas 7 months. Or if your situation is Unskilled Worker, EW3, the time in Nebraska is 4 months and in Texas it is 25.5 months. In the category of Advanced Degree or Exceptional Ability requesting a National Interest Waiver, NIW, in Nebraska the waiting time is 10.5 months, the same time for Texas with 10.5 months. Finally, for the category of Scheduling a Nurses, in Nebraska the waiting time is 5.5 months, while for Texas it is 6 months. Before we say goodbye, I'll provide you with additional information about the waiting times for other forms that are also crucial for certain immigration processes. For Form I-730, petition for accompanying family members of an asylee in all service centers, the time is 29 months. Form I-751, removal of lawful permanent resident conditions. For California, 20.5 months. Nebraska, 19 months. Potomac, 31.5 months. Texas, 27.5 months. Vermont, 23.5 months. All field offices, 32.5 months. Form N-400, application for naturalization. In New Jersey, specifically Mount Laurel, the time is 9 months. Form N-600, application for recognition of U.S. citizenship. Also in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, the time is 13.5 months. Finally, for Form 1-821, Temporary Protected Status, or TPS. Afghanistan in Vermont, 8.5 months. Burma in California, 4.5 months. Cameroon in Nebraska, 11 months. El Salvador in Texas, 11.5 months. And in Vermont is 16 months. Re-registration in El Salvador, Nebraska, 7 months. Texas, 10.5 months. And Vermont, 3 months. Haiti in California, 8 months. Honduras in Vermont, 13 months. Honduras re-registration, Vermont, 5 months. Nepal in Nebraska, 26 months. Nepal re-registration, Nebraska, 18.5 months. Nicaragua in Texas, 10.5 months. Nicaragua re-registration in Texas, 7 months. Somalia in Vermont, 8 months. Somalia re-registration is 6 months in Vermont. South Sudan in Vermont, 13.5 months. Registration for South Sudan, also in Vermont, 13.5 months. Sudan in Vermont, 15.5 months. South Sudan re-registration, also in Vermont, is 2 months. Syria. In Vermont, it's 10 months. Syria re-registration, also in Vermont, is 14.5 months. Ukraine in Nebraska, 12.5 months. Venezuela in Potomac, 16 months. Yemen in Vermont, 10.5 months. Yemen re-registration is 5 months, also in Vermont. If you have any questions about your immigration process or simply want professional guidance, don't hesitate to contact us at the number displayed on the screen. We'll be delighted to assist you. We look forward to more good news in the upcoming bulletins and processing times. Stay informed by following our channel. Let's take care until the next update.